So here we have a Whirlpool dishwasher, which is acting up. Look, I pulled the top drawer out to load the dishes. Oh, and look what happens. And you can see that the little axle thingy that is supposed to be attached to the wheel has become unattached, and after several tries at just doing that and hoping that it stays together, look what happens. So the first thing we have to do is get the tray out of there, and we'll do that by removing the end caps on the slide rails like so. And now we can simply pull the fending tray right on out. So my first idea for this little problem was to find a nice long slim wood screw and a washer that would go through the wheel, and I'm going to drill out the piece that broke in the rack and replace it with this. Now you can see the problem with that is that the screw and the washer just slide all over the place, so that's going to result in an unstable rack. But then I was lucky to find a recessed washer, inverted cone-shaped washer, I'm not sure what the proper terminology is, that just happens to be the right size to fit right centered into the depression in the middle of that pulley. And of course I only have one hand, so I'll get back to that. So now this can all go together like that, and that little washer will hold that screw centered. And that should work very well. Now all I've got to do is make the other end of the hole, because the tab that sticks out there that normally holds this thing, this wheel in place, has broken apart, and so I need to cut the end of it off and drill a hole through it, which will be coming next. Of course, I just happen to be lucky enough to have an oscillating tool from earlier projects. If you got one of these laying around, that's a great tool for cutting off this piece here that has broken. You can see that there should be a little thing like this on the other side over here. It's gone. That's why the wheel keeps falling off. So I'm just going to cut that off and then drill a hole in it. Now it's drilled out, so I can put that screw with the wheel attached to it into the hole and screw it in. That plastic that I drilled through was surprisingly hard and brittle, but it didn't seem to crack when I drilled it or put the screw in. And of course now with that put in there, there's still quite a bit of wobble in there. So I'm going to put another one of those cabinet washers on the back side to keep it centered both front and back of the pulley. So that's a little better. I think it could be better yet if the screw was just a teensy bit smaller than the hole in the washers. But I'm working with what I just happen to have at home, so that'll do for now and get me by, as opposed to paying the big bucks to get a replacement kit and having to wait for a couple of weeks for it to arrive. That is a Band-Aid, and I can replace that screw with a little bit bigger one if I find one at my local Lowe's store, which is my definite preference over Home Depot or any of those places. So now I found that those larger outside diameter washers that didn't hold it very well centered, if I use those in conjunction with these cup washers, make for a much smoother ride. You can see that after I chiseled off the end of that buggered axle piece that had a tab that was broken off on each side, it's kind of rough. It's just the pieces that are left are rough, and so this other washer here makes it ride smoother. So what I've got now is big flat washer with a small inside diameter, and then a cup washer inside of that, and then on the other end a cup washer with a big washer, and that holds it pretty stable. And I'm gonna put this all together and try it back in the machine. So there we go. Still a little sloppy just because of the difference in the diameter of the screw from the diameter of the washer, but I think it'll run pretty true and certainly will get me by until I either find better fitting parts or decide that it'll work just fine. So now I've put the tray back in, and I'm seeing that it runs pretty stiff, and I think it's on account of my using pan head screws there, possibly because of adding the extra washer. So first I'm going to take that extra washer off the outside and see if that gives me a little more clearance there so it's not rubbing on the track. Okay, so I just took those outside flat washers off to reduce the clearance a little bit, and that is just smooth as pretty much silk. And I am going to put the end caps back on. Oh, here's one final shot of what that looks like without that extra washer. So it's just got the cup washer on the end, and that's running good. So here we go with the end caps. Oops. They don't need a trip through the dishwasher. They're going to get it anyway. And let's see. So we need to go like that. And they snap right into place. They do snap. Well, I need both hands. So as you can see, that repair has worked beautifully, and I think that should hold up very well. I don't see no need for no stinking $56 replacement kit for that. It's just working beautifully. I would probably, if I was actually picking up the screws and washers and whatnot, look for brass or stainless steel. But that's survived the first trip through the dishwasher, and I'm sure it will survive many more. So that worked just fine and saved me some money. The other nice advantage of doing things that way, rather than just going out and buying new parts and throwing old stuff away, is, like probably many of you, I have many parts from not only many past projects of mine, but my father's, my grandfather's. I've inherited lots and lots of hardware, and it's just sitting around. So every little bit that I can use up like this is satisfying and saves a little bit of money. So there's the handy dandy repair on the video. We now have a functioning dishwasher without it falling apart, and that makes for a happy wife, and a happy wife makes a happy life. I hope you enjoyed the video. By the way, this is my first crack at making any kind of a YouTube video and posting it, so please excuse the roughness of it, and hope that your dishwasher works well for you after you fix it like that.